With 2 rounds under the belt, it has been a case of the familiar faces up near the front. Tyre changes haven't really affected too much, but today is the 3rd round of the championship, and it brings us over to the Hockenheimring. If you want to talk about difficult challenges, if you want to talk about great one-lap thrill rides, this is the sort of place where you absolutely have to get it correct. It's a tough overtaking place today, and this is where great racing is going to bring itself to life. Welcome to SimSpeed TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world for the iRacing Grand Prix Series Round 3 here from Hockenheimring. I'm Jake Sperry. I've got Jay Kennedy along for the ride with me this morning, wherever you are. But one thing we do absolutely know, Jay, is that this track is pretty tight, can be pretty technical, and it's got that one key place, the Spitzkever hairpin, as the key place today to make passes happen.
Yeah, and races we've seen here previously, that shows the main overtaking spot, or shows as the main overtaking spot. So no doubt we'll see that once again. And thank you for having me along, Sperry. It's been a little while since I've been in the booth and been in for one of these, and I'm looking forward to it. Of course, a little bit of change to the series since the last time I was here with the required pit stop, but doesn't mean that the racing is going to be any less exciting. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out. And interesting, the tyre choices that we're seeing for qualifying at the moment. Not a huge variety, unlike other races that we've seen this season.
Yeah, only a couple of drivers are looking to go out there potentially on the yellow-walled medium compound tyre as we watch Jorge Martinez then make his run through the second lap, trying to put something down on the books through the very tough final corner, almost running into the gravel there, trying to get a lap sorted. It's a 109.779. Shows you how tight second up to about 6th position is, because there's only 3/100ths of a second, I'll correct myself, between them. Martinez back down there in 6th place. He will be disappointed with that qualifying effort.
Yeah, he will be. He'll be not too happy with how far down he's sitting at this stage, but watching Anthony Catt at the moment, driver that probably not quite as impressed with his qualifying at the moment, starting back in 15th at this stage. He'll be wanting to put in a really, really good second lap, move himself forward.
Absolutely, and this is a narrow circuit, we've said. It's a tough track, it's a technical track, and it's going to be a reliance on downforce. So if you don't qualify the car properly, you might be in a little bit of trouble out there on track. Running through, you can see here to this Mercedes corner in these Mercedes W12E performances here. This is Adam Gleason looking to try and put himself a lap down. Hasn't got both laps in just yet. This is his first attempt, and there is that very scary run as you go off of the drag strip and over through that right through Mobile 1 and into the arena section, which has remained practically unchanged for 50 years.
Yeah, really cool section of track too, and as you said, that part, one of the few parts that are unchanged from the older layout. Gleason crosses the line, jumps into 9th position. Good lap from him. Only 3 drivers that haven't put in a lap time in this session. Kalen Chin, he won't get a lap time in. Jacob Reed, Kent Nielsen, both out on track to try and finish their laps.
Yeah, Kalen Chin having a lot of issues when it came to qualifying. Actually backed it into the wall at turn 1 before our cameras went live. There is the yellow machine of Kent Nielsen over the line then with a 110 flat, which is good enough for 12th position at the moment. Jacob Reed puts a 109.6 down on the books. That's good enough for a front row, but look at the gap to the front here, Jay. It's 0.4 of a second. Oliver Stepanov is out there right now circulating without laps, just trying to get the practice in, and he is absolutely bossing this qualifying.
Yeah, that's a huge margin, isn't it? I haven't really seen too many margins like that in a long while. So, sorry, the graphics are just frozen on the screen. I'm trying to fix that as we're going. There we go. Yeah, Stepanov, the gap between he and Reed is huge. It's just over 0.3, but everyone else from there, what is there, a tenth separating the next 6 or 7 drivers? It's incredible how close it is.
It absolutely is. Kalen Chin having a laugh. He's the only driver without a qualifying time. As we take a look at the grid, it is the Austrian Oliver Stepanov who has himself pole position by a very comfortable margin over Jacob Reed. Remy Garcia, great qualifying from him. He starts 3rd with Vincenzo Taormina there, the American in 4th position, Darren Parker, and Marcel Fassbender. First start we've seen of him this season. He goes from 6th place, not bad for the number 4. Jorge Martinez going 7th will be a little bit disappointed in comparison to his teammate Stepanov, with Victor Awad, the Brazilian, in 8th place. Tyler Dzube starts 9th with Adam Gleason rounding the top 10, and then you've got Ari Korkodilos in 11th and Nathan Graham there in 12th position overall. Kent Nielsen and John Pat Kelly, 2 veterans of the series, they start 13th and 14th, with Nico Veronen 15th and Adam Cohen, the New Zealander, down there in 16th place. Stefan Chantal and Anthony Katz have row 9 of the grid to themselves, which leaves Stefan Piotrowski down in 19th, Kevin Shylon in 20th place, and the final 2 drivers, Kohei Yamashita back there with a 1:10.651 and no time for Kalen Chin, and he will have a lot of work to do to move himself up through the order and to get himself a strong result. We talk about this being a tough track to pass on. We talk about this being a tough place to go and get overtakes done. Kalen Chin, who wants to be up there fighting for the championship, with Tamas Simon, who's not here, with the likes of Andreas Henkel, who's not here, with the likes of Oliver Stepanov, who's at the very front of the field. He's going to need an almighty day today if he wants to make this run. And of course, because this is the Hockenheimring, that run to turn number 1 out on track is probably one of the most difficult out there all season long. It's a very tough, fast opening corner. They don't design them like this anymore out there, because even back in the likes of the noughties, when you saw early accidents come along, this was always going to be a place where troubles can brew. And just ask Felipe Massa about this place when he was upside down here about 5 years ago in the Williams. So drivers getting themselves 2 minutes to grid themselves up. They must swap their tyre over the course of the race, and about 2/3 of the grid have gone on to the medium compound yellow wall tyres to start. 1/3 are on the red soft compound tyre out there. So a big shake-up in terms of strategy. How will this pay into mind? That is the back wing there, the rear wing of Oliver Stepanov. That's the view he'll have behind him as 2 minutes clicks up on the clock. We're going to get ourselves ready then. Lights on here at the Hockenheimring. And in just one moment, we're going to take ourselves away to racing action. Green flag, and we are underway. Stepanov gets an okay start. It's a great start all the way back there from the likes of Remy Garcia as they run through. And already dramas as 2 gets turned around. That's Martinez, who's in a little bit of bother then on the opening stages. And about a half dozen cars then have been in the calamities already, Jay. Not the start that people were hoping for and expecting.
No, it was a crazy start, and as you said, a few drivers well and truly out. You got Nathan Graham, Victor Ord, Jorge Martinez already out of this race. So 3 drivers gone already. John Pat Kelly has played the smart strategy now in hindsight, because he started from the pit lane. He's already gained 3 spots before he got out of the pits.
Absolutely, and here is Ari Korkodilos trying to make the move and has made it complete then on Adam Gleason. What was key about that pass, Jay, on the opening lap is he didn't have the activation of the drag reduction system, that rear wing flap that opens up. You only get that from lap 3 onwards.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about moves. Kalen Chin, we said he started last, so 22nd. He's already up into 12th, already passed 10 cars before the halfway point of the first lap.
Easy as pie then, just in front of him, Kent Nielsen, and there's a bit of a gap in front to Piotrowski, who's also made good progress off of the start. Stepanov leads, Garcia in 2nd, Reed in 3rd, Taormina 4th, Fassbender in 5th then as they run forward. Already Stepanov clear by a 2nd, but you can see the challenge that Jacob Reed is trying to put forward here at this stage in time, because you look behind, he knows he's got to be aggressive early in this race. Looking from the back then of Remy Garcia and his SRT Sport car on the brakes into the hairpin. Nothing doing just yet. It is one of the tightest corners I think I have ever seen in racing. And there is Kalen Chin, absolutely putting yellow helmet syndrome there on Kent Nielsen, who effectively went searching into the German countryside looking for some more track.
Yeah, he tried to find the odd layout there to try and get himself a bit more pace, but couldn't quite do it. A bit of a lock up there from Chin, but sort of forced Nielsen a little bit wide. Now he's got the red wall tyre drivers behind of Cat And off cat, I should say. Only cat in that pack. I thought there was another red tyre there, but Anthony Cat trying to make his way forward as well.
Absolutely, and looking at the conditions, 26 degrees here today. It is going to be interesting, and look at that, Nielsen in the pits. Now that would indicate to me a jump start.
In saying that, he doesn't show a black flag on the timing screen, so
True.
I'm a bit surprised by this. Maybe he's decided, I'm not going to handle these tyres, or don't have the pace, I need to tweak my setup. He's gone to the red wall tyre, so that's surprising. I don't really understand that.
Well, you can see he was long up on the jacks, which would indicate that he needed a front wing change. Yeah. So that would have been a little troublesome, as there you can see around the outside trying to look for that move and getting it done. That was Shylon, who is all over that inside curve. Here a little bit further back, fighting out. Sorry, that was Yamashita just going through. So Yamashita just making the pass and getting it sorted. You wouldn't have said that was the textbook way to get it done, but certainly a pass is a pass in anyone's book.
Yeah, and almost looked like Shylon did make a mistake coming up to the Parabolica, so may have lost a bit of ground there. Gap at the front was over a second after the first lap. It is now under a second. DRS now available, and straight away Remy Garcia opens it up to try and take some advantage.
Certainly is, and Remy Garcia here hasn't had many opportunities to run at the front of the pack, and would absolutely relish that opportunity to go out there and fight with Oliver Stepanov. And the DRS here is probably one of the strongest that you'll find all season long. Starts to really close that gap up, and he gets right up underneath on the brakes, and suddenly this becomes a big pack's worth of racing. Goes back, you could arguably say, to Darren Parker in 8th position at this point in time. So a crucial phase of the race being you've got to be pixel perfect as you go around. A bit of side-by-side out of the hairpin then as we run to the Mercedes corner. That's Kat and Chantal having a good little scrap as they hit the brakes. Nico Veiranen just behind.
Yeah, good little battle here behind Tyler Dezube. Dezube actually just got through at the hairpin there, so Dezube now up into 12th position. Kalen Chid now up into the top 10 already. 8 seconds behind the lead, but the pace he's got, he has a chance of maybe getting another 3 or 4 spots with how long still left in this race. So Kalen Chin, watch out for the young man who lives in Singapore from Sydney. Up nice and early if you're in Singapore to race in this race. It'll be about 4 a.m. there at the moment.
Absolutely, nice and early. Well, you know what they say as well. It doesn't matter whether there's a sun to shine to make the hay, but at this stage he is certainly making hay while the sun shines. Let's take a look at the virtual racing school replay then, as Chin will make the pass from Piotrowski. Now this is the start. Martinez gets a good launch here, moves around, but you can see, look at that. That's what makes this track so difficult. Alad with nowhere to go. It really does funnel in through that section, and effectively Martinez is a passenger on the outside. It's the last place you want to be, lap 1, turn 1.
100%. Always going to end in tears, that incident, when you've got even too wide into turn 1. Very, very narrow point of the track. That front straight is quite wide, but it really narrows up at the apex through turn 1 and catching a few drivers out. And, I mean, love to see the aggression, but in the same breath, never love to see the aggression when it takes out a few drivers early on.
Absolutely, and here's the leading 3. Difference between the top 2 on that last lap, 1,000th of a second in favour of Remy Garcia. So he is closing the gap right now, but not by much.
Needs another 700 laps to be able to close it down.
Yeah, give him 700 laps, he'll have a chance. Jacob Reed in 3rd. Taormina having a good drive in 4th. Fastbender there in 5th position. You talk about also as well about gainers. Ari Korkadilos, his first run of the season, he's up there in P6 in the 13 car. It's nice to see the Canadian out there giving a really good showing of himself.
Yeah, exactly right. It's great to see. Doing a very, very good job. Also confirming that those 3 drivers involved in that early incident have all decided to park their cars, so they're too far damaged to be able to get back out on the track. So absolutely no points for those guys in this race.
Absolutely, and these cars really are difficult to keep in line because it's not the sense of the old damage model, for example, Jay, where you'd get a crumpled front wing and that was about it when you had a hit. This is the sort of car where if you have a hit, you are going to lose your tyre. If you lose your tyre, the suspension will sag and you will not be able to drag it back to the pits again.
Yeah, and we've seen that many, many times before, haven't we? I mean, think back to Interlagos last season when we saw a few drivers with blown tyres right on that last lap, didn't we? We had a few drivers that didn't quite limp at home, so I'm sure we'll see it again. Maybe not so much now that everyone's forced into a pit stop, but even still, we're going to see it happen. Someone's going to try and push those limits a little bit too far.
Speaking of limits here, Oliver Stepanov last lap, 112.6. Korkadilos trying to go down the inside here and make a banzai attempt on Marcel Fassbender. He never saw it coming.
I didn't see it coming. I was keeping one eye on the timing sheet and I saw the change of position. Something weird's happened to the replay here. We'll come back live. See if I can do that again.
Absolutely. So that's a good move. Kalen Chin, by the way, has just got through on Darren Parker. Let's try again here with the Virtual Racing School replay. See exactly how this comes along. This is what he does. DRS versus DRS, but this is just a lunge and a half from Ari Korkadilos. And it was a must-make pass because it was soft versus medium.
Yeah, really good move, wasn't it? One thing I've actually been a little surprised in is that the soft tyre doesn't have as big of an advantage as you may have expected. We usually would see a little bit more pace from the soft in comparison to the mediums, especially early on in the race. So, and you said as well, Kalen Chin making the move. Have a look at the difference in pace. Chin to Darren Parker, DRS advantage, but he came from a mile back to get that move done.
Absolutely did. Got the place and started to run forward. Fastest driver right now out on track is the 10 of Kent Nielsen, way back there in 19th position. Did a 12.7 that last time by. Yes, slightly slower than the leaders, but he was doing the likes, Jay, of 10 flats and 10 threes as he was going forward. He is flying out there on track, and he is going to gain a lot of track position if he feels like he can get the red-walled softs home on what would be a 31-lap stint.
It's going to be difficult to get it to last that far because that's a lot of racing to do on those soft wall tyres. I usually see about around about the 100-kilometre mark be the limit for the red wall tyre, and he's going to have to do pretty much 150 odd on those reds, so we'll see if he can do it. Jacob Reed got really close to the back of Remy Garcia before turn 1 on the little chute on the front straight, so Remy Garcia is probably not being as aggressive to Stepanov at the moment because he's got one eye in the mirror. In saying that, right on cue, Remy Garcia has a look up the inside and may steal the lead away.
May, but he's got no drive coming off of the exit because he's pinched down there, has to use more of the turning radius of the car, and that put Jacob Reed right into position. Can't find an angle of opportunity to attack into the Mercedes corner, and this transfer through in towards turn 10 and then Mobile 1 is such a beautiful place of track to go out there to attack, to make this sort of race happen. But you can see again, Reed has to sit in through that very, very difficult banked on camber left-hander that so often has been the make or break corner when it has come to a lap, when it has come to a race.
100%. It's a very, very underrated track. I must say I wasn't too overly excited when this track was announced that it was coming to iRacing, but I tell you what, this has turned into one of my favourite tracks on iRacing. The racing we always have at this track, doesn't matter whether you've got high downforce, high powered Formula cars or low power Mazda MX-5s, the racing at this track is always incredible, and I always look forward to a race here now.
Make it a train of 7 up at the front. Adam Gleeson on the back of the train, trying to hold station and keep himself in the thralls of Marcel Fassbender at this stage. Great battle behind. Anthony Catt just having to fall back into line as he was trying to get past Stefan Piotrowski. Couldn't find it. Chantal with the lunge down the inside, but hello, it's a 90-degree left-hander and you can work the outside line to defend it.
Yeah, and it's one of those corners that you can use that outside very, very effectively. One thing for Anthony Catt is that he's on the softs, but he's not making them work to his advantage. If anything, they're hindering him at the moment because he's not finding time in the same spots as everyone else. And as we saw, he tried to make that move on Piotrowski, but what it did was it left him susceptible to Stefan Chantal behind, and now he's a long way back from even looking like he might get a move done.
Absolutely, and as we know as well here, Jay, it's a case of the longer that you stay behind a driver in dirty air, the more your tyres are going to get worn, and those softs don't look good at this stage. Big lunge again! Oh, Corcodilos down the inside of Taormina this time. Oh, he's got that put down to a T. Ari is absolutely flying up the inside of these drivers, and he does not mind who it is.
Going out there in the ultra-aggressive mindset, isn't he? It's great to watch, but I'm thinking that this is partly well, I'm not really in the championship fight sort of mindset, so I'm going all out. These guys, if they're in the championship fight, they might want to let me through and not get involved in an incident. That's the mindset I'm thinking it is. It may not be the case, but that's what it looks like. He's going all out, and these other guys are having to be a little bit more cautious about it.
I think they do, and what was quite telling actually was Taormina really closed up on Jacob Reed, had a half think about the move in towards the hairpin, had to back out of it slightly because of the fact that Reed was turning in, and then all of a sudden you find that's the move. So in comes Anthony Cat. He was getting a little bit bottled up and frustrated. This will have to be an undercut. He's going to be joined by Nico Veiranen in the pits.
Yeah, Cat and Veiranen both go to the mediums, and Crocodilos straight away back under the rear wing now of Jacob Reed. It was nearly a second at the start finish line, and is now down to half a second. He's got that hairpin absolutely worked out. He knows how deep he can push it and isn't scared to do it even if there's a car on his outside.
The three cars in front of him though are all on that yellow wall medium compound tyre, so he'll have to take the slower tyre for his second stint, and that might be the only thing that he is worried about. Fastbender just there in the background, almost dipping a couple tyres into the gravel there, going through the Mobil 1 corner. What has been telling as well, actually, is how the progress of Kalen Chin has completely been stymied over the last couple of laps. He's been stuck at about 7 seconds back, hasn't had the pace to jump that 3-second gap to Adam Gleeson in 7th position. So I think drivers now is trying to settle into a rhythm. Pit stop cycle just about coming up as John Pat Kelly decides to jump the SRT car into the pits.
Yeah, and he will be the first, other than Kent Nielsen, to go from the medium to the soft. This is probably more the range of the soft tyre that you would expect. You know, a third race score and 2/3 to go, give or take. But yeah, that run from Nielsen's going to be very, very tough. I probably think that Kent Nielsen will have to come in for another set of soft tyres. Could be wrong, but that would be my thinking. One thing that Chin has got in his favour as well, talking about him and not making too much progress, I'm guessing that he harvested all of his energy, all of his battery life down to nearly nothing, and has spent the last couple of laps generating battery life again, because on this lap he's gained around about half a second on those leaders already.
Yeah, and that's what you have to be very careful of in a race like this. It's not just about how quick you can go over the course of the lap. They have that battery to charge. They are hybrid machines. They have an attack mode on the car, which they can use to deploy all of the extra harvested energy over the course of the laps. And look at how close through their turn number 2 goes one Ari Corcodilos as he tries to work out from his 11th place start on the grid, how can I move up onto the podium? We'll look on the brakes then as they'll dive through. Ari's going to go lunging again. Has to really get it slowed up. Almost contact with Jacob Reed. You can see it coming a mile away, but he's not giving this one up. Still the slightest hint of overlap, but has to fall back into line. And it makes you wonder at this stage, how much is Ari showing his hand, trying to make that lunge down the inside?
Well, how much is he showing the other guys how deep they can push it on the softs when they get them on too? So that could... this aggressiveness could go against him when we get into reverse mode of he on the mediums and the other guys on the softs. My thinking is that they will now know, hey, he isn't scared to push it on these softs. We can do the same when he's on those mediums. And I don't think he'll be on these softs for too much longer. Almost at halfway. Maybe another 4 laps, 5 laps maybe.
Yep, definitely would seem in the wheelhouse at this point, and he hasn't really lost too much pace or time at this stage. It's 5 at the front, then a group of 2, and then a group of 3 out there. Into the pits now will come Kevin Shylon from the rear of the field. He'll jump in. Interesting to note, of those who have all pitted, they're all around each other right now. Väyrynen, Yamashita's there, Nielsen, Cat, they're all in the same boat.
100%. Oh, contact!
Oh!
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Taormina immediately apologises, loses the front wing, and that's what the Spitzkehrer can do. Such a tough section of road, and I think that's his day done. Very, very bizarre. Front wheel gone for Vincenzo Taormina. His race over, and it looks like he missed his break point and just continued straight into the back.
Yeah, wasn't much contact, but any contact in these cars can often be enough. Look how far back he was. Oh, just missed it by a mile. Front wing gets ripped off. Front tyre gets ripped off. That's day done. What was looking like a very, very solid top 5 finish has ended in nothing.
And into the pits comes Korkadilos. No surprises there after the hit. And then Adam Gleeson. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, there are no fast repairs in this series. So if you break it, you bought it. But you can see here, Korkadilos, he'll just brake naturally. And you can't do anything at this point. You could maybe lunge down to the inside, but he's very fortunate that rear wing was actually still attached to the back of the car, because that was a heavy, heavy impact.
100%. And what it has done as well is now completely changed the strategy. Is Oliver Stepanov just ran wide at the hairpin and has lost the lead of the race.
So just like that, he was under pressure. Down the inside went Remy Garcia. So he didn't really have much choice. I think he was just trying to take the line of least resistance to not cost overall time in this race. You can see Garcia down the inside. And one of the things that we haven't really said too much about is track position coming into the pits. And I think this is what Remy Garcia wants as he goes wide through the banked curve there, going through the Sachs curve. And now through the right. Any takers for any takers? No. So we stay out another lap.
And this lap will bring us to the halfway point of the race. We've completed 16, we've got 17 to go. We said that before that Kalen Chin wasn't making too many inroads on the guys ahead. We've got Tyler Dezube just ahead now. Currently in 6th, of course, a few drivers now out of sequence with, or changing in sequence with their pit stops. But Chin doing a very, very good job. And interesting, Korkadilos has come out behind Adam Gleeson with that spin.
Yeah, he was behind
Oh,
Gleeson.
he's around again.
Oh, speak of the devil. Korkadilos going around very nearly doing a Timo Glock.
Nearly lost the front wing as well. Slight damage to that front wing, so he's going to have to do the whole remainder of this stint with a damaged front wing. That's Anthony Catt through. And he will have an absolute loss of confidence with that.
Yeah, just seeing the back of it again. This is where it goes wrong. That final corner, you think you can attack through here. This double apex here, Nord curve corner. And yeah, just the back going around, trying to put the power down as early as possible. He is very lucky it was just that one tap.
I actually think that bouncing off that red sausage curb on the outside on entry may have unsettled the car, and it was at the point when he put the power down, may have caused the lack of grip to finally kick in. Obviously the load of the car would have been different to normal. Jacob Reed has come into the pits from 4th position, or 3rd position I should say, so first of our leaders in. We'll see where Reed comes out of the pits.
And it's going to be an undercut he will try and get. Now, you're going to be seeing a couple of drivers trying to place their car in the box accordingly, because they'll need to try and get out. It's a very aggressive out, and there's Stepanov back through up the inside of Remy Garcia. So he wasn't going to sit around and wait for long as he tries to go through the stricken wreckage of Taormina, still there at the very, very end as he goes through. I guess still there with it, just going to leave the car there until the race is over. But for Oliver Stepanov and Remy Garcia, the last thing these two want to be doing right now is fighting with each other. And that is why Stepanov, you can see, has absolutely pulled out a gap of about 5-6 car lengths, because he is trying desperately to get his in-lap working. Does he dive for the pits? No, he doesn't. They both stay out. Where has this pace come along from Oliver Stepanov? He's been flying on this lap. That was a 12.2.
Yeah, and compare that to Garcia, did a 13.5. So, I mean, there was an overtake. That's obviously part of the reason as to why there was a difference in time. But even then, you'd still expect Garcia to maybe be doing a high 12, but that's a huge difference. that was Stepanoff's second fastest lap of the race. So obviously harvested some battery, decided, well, I'm going all out. And as you said before, track position, very, very key when you're coming into the pits. Stepanoff wanted to be that lead car come pit stop time. I reckon they're both pitting this lap.
Marcel Fassbender's just come out of the pits and he's behind Adam Gleeson by a long way. They were pretty much all over each other. Fassbender was ahead when they came in for the pit sequence, so he's lost 2 seconds, and it's very, very telling that they are losing time in this race and haven't made their stops. So I think it's going to come down to one factor right now as they run through the leaders. There's Kalen Chin currently in 3rd position right now, but the leading duo have been very reliant on Jacob Reed finding traffic. He did on that last lap with Piotrowski. Latest of late calls from Stepanov to dive for the pits. Wow.
I think that really late move to come into the pits was enough to force Garcia to not follow him in. He'd already committed to turn in. By the time we realised that Stepanov was in the lane, he couldn't do anything about it. So Stepanov in, Garcia stays out, Chin stays out. We've only got 4 drivers on track that have not pitted yet, those also being Piotrowski and Cohen.
And Jacob Reed's got the jump. Jacob Reed jumps ahead with that stop. He gets up to speed quicker, and suddenly Stepanov's got to make some overtakes out there. They've got 2 cars in front as well, Adam Cohen and Stefan Piotrowski, that they'll go through. So that's going to be something they'll have to deal with at this stage with 14 to go. You can see already how much of a chase Oliver Stepanov's got. He's going to lunge immediately up the inside, and Jacob Reed says, no thank you, I don't want any of that.
Stepanov was well and truly using the attack mode there. You can tell, I mean, we can't see it, but you can tell just from the pace advantage that he had. He was 0.6 of a second behind out of the first hairpin, and to gain that and be well and truly clear by turning, no other way to get that done. So great job from Stepanov, making sure he's got that track position, because into the pits comes Garcia. This is going to be very, very tight.
It is going to be tight here, so how good has Remy Garcia been in terms of his in-lap? It's a 15.8 for Kalen Chin, and for Remy Garcia, he did a 15.9 overall. He gets out and away, and there will go the leading duo. They've already gone by. Camera, you can turn around as much as you want, they're gone. And just like that, Garcia is a comfortable 3rd position right now, so it's just dependent, this race, on how much Jacob Reed can chase, and Stepanov, I think, is doing more than enough. There is Kalen Chin. He's come out and away again. And look at him. He's in 7th position. He's racing still with Tyler DeZube.
Yeah, they were battling before the pit stops, and they're resuming their fight. 1 car left to pit, that being Piotrowski. And I would guess now, and the point he's in, he might as well come in now, because he almost got a little tap from Stepanov, who he forces wide. This is for the lead of the race. Of course, different strategies, but this is a little bit too aggressive for the leaders.
No love lost between the 2 Austrians in the field racing against each other. Here comes Jacob Reed. Has to go the long way around the Sachs curve. Oh, that's a fantastic pass.
What a pass by Jacob Reed. You don't often see moves around the outside, and Piotrowski's seen, wow, those new tyres are good. I better come and get some of them.
Absolutely, and that is pretty much the biggest statement for, you want fresh tyres, might as well go get them now, and we'll have to trundle down the lane for the stop. But Jacob Reed is going to have to do some work here to get 0.8 of a second over the line. We'll get the DRS, and there is Remy Garcia, the Frenchman, 1.5 seconds back, who is just begging Stepanov and Reed to start fighting.
He needs them to fight, doesn't he? Because if he doesn't get them fighting, he's not going to gain that 1 second back. You need to... well, I mean, he may if he's got a little bit of battery saved up, attack mode engaged, but even then, I don't think he's going to be able to get that back. He's just a little bit too far gone. He does have pace, though. He's also, just noticed too, Jacob Reed, his out lap, or his first flying lap, I should say, did the fastest lap of the race. Oliver Stepanov on that previous lap, even with that overtake, did his fastest lap of the race, both into the 111s.
Absolutely flying. These drivers are 11.7 from Jacob Reed, Stepanov an 11.5 on that last lap. They're trying to work with Garcia, and let's not forget the battle for 4th and 5th as well in this race, because you've got Marcel Fassbender trying to find a pass on Adam Gleeson to stay in range. 0.5 second, 0.6 as they come towards the start-finish line, and a very, very dangerous first corner. And It is such a committed corner going to turn one like that, Jay, especially with that glaring outside curb where you never quite know how much property you have as you go over it.
100%. It's sorry, I'm just a bit distracted by looking at the timing sheet. Piotrowski's rejoined in 15th position, even though he was battling for the lead. Shows how close this field is. Fassbender through, and I think Gleason's going to come back here.
I think he is as well. Piotrowski did miss his box as he came in to make his stop, so that would be why he's dropped so far down the order. It is a very close field. 17 drivers right now in this race, 23 laps in, split by half a second, as we can see no front wing for Väyrynen out there on track. So he's had a moment out there where he's completely clattered something out there on track, and in fact he missed his chance to go into the pits. It was contact between him and the aforementioned Piotrowski.
Yeah, interesting. So Piotrowski in 14th position, we can see him here battling with Yamashita. They're in their own little battle. There's heaps of battles going on out on track. A few battles all within that 1 second bracket. You got the leaders within a second, 4th within a second, 6th and 7th within a second, this battle within a second, and that battle between John Pat Kelly and Nico Väyrynen, they were within a second, no longer.
Yeah, we do also have to note that Kent Nielsen has put the car back in the pits. Day done, found the wall on his own out the exit of the Mercedes corner. So that is his race then, all done after that sort of contact. So he'll be pushing forward. But there is one Mr. Caelan Chin now behind Tyler Dzubay, who has moved up into 6th position. Tyler Dzubay having a really, really good race. He was a driver last season who was struggling to get results, struggling to finish really inside the top 15 of races. Now look at him, 7th position, really having a good showing today.
100%, he's doing a great job in that top 6, and now he's got a little bit of a battle on his hands to try and hold off Caelan Chin. These two sort of in a way have to try and work together, don't they? Because if they can work together, make sure their pace works. Actually just noticed too, that lap there from Tyler Dzubay, fastest lap of the entire race, a 1:11.1. No, sorry, Caelan Chin, the lap previous did a 1:10.9. So these two are the fastest two cars out on track, so they are working together. 2.2 seconds they've got to get to Gleason ahead.
And it's really showing the way they're working, because here comes Caelan Chin up the inside, and he will get the pass scored. So you can see the way they're trying to make those moves. And it is a great battle, because it's the sort of fight that you look at and go, I don't really want to cost time. The gap now down to 2 seconds. They want to join Gleason and Fassbender and give themselves an opportunity to say, hey, 4th place is on the cards here.
Yeah, if they do work together, as they did, they both took the overtake. The faster car at the point went through. The car that was not quite as fast lets the other one through, and then they'll do the same slingshot through. They do work together. They're well and truly in with a chance. Once they get it into a 4-car fight, then they can battle and fight away as much as they like. It's now down to 1.7 seconds between Chin and Gleason. Last lap by Gleason at 1:12.6. Caelan Chin a 1:11.3.
Worth noting as well, the gap at the front of the field is teetering on a second at this point as well. Oliver Stepanov is doing more than enough to hold his own at this point, and this is where the natural pace of qualifying comes into play. He was 4/10 clear of anyone. Race pace not so much, but there you can see that battle just behind. 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th on track, split by not very much at all, and the gap suddenly, even without the overtake, is down to 1.5 seconds. They have found an extra gear in terms of this race, and with 8 laps to go, I don't think they're willing to give this one up just yet.
100% agree. I think they're well and truly going all out. I mean, the worst that can happen is one of them end their race, but I think in regards to the championship as a whole, 7th position is going to end up being a drop round for them anyway, so they've got everything to gain, nothing to lose, pushing on as hard as they can at this point, and they're doing a very, very good job. At the line, it's going to be 1.4 seconds. Interesting that you see in the background there.
Dzubay.
Yeah, Dzubay got a slowdown penalty, and that's ended his fight in this battle.
Oh, it absolutely has. It looks like it's more than that. It looks like actually he's retiring the car. So It looks like something's happened to the Zube. It wouldn't have been an engine. I think that's technical. And what a shame for Tyler DeZube, who was running one of his great races out there overall, wasn't quite able to make it happen. It just felt like something let go in terms of his setup through the final corners out there.
See if we can pick up what has happened. Because, I mean, at this point here, he's about 7/10 back. It's through this next section that something just goes awry. So I was like you, I thought I used to add a slowdown penalty, but it may be more terminal than that.
See through, going through fourth gear into third.
It didn't change very, very well from from third to fourth. It sort of engaged neutral, so I think he's had a shifter issue, and now he's stuck in fourth gear.
Yeah, definitely looks that way. And if the shifter doesn't work, well, it's going to be very tough to go around this place in just fourth gear. And what a shame, his race over and done with, box to retire. Still, though, it does still leave the battle on for what is 4th, 5th, and 6th out there. You can see Kalen Chin has got himself closer as he fights. And there was almost a look, actually, for the race lead as well. So Stepanov and Reed start to get feisty. You can see the 4 lights on the dash there indicate that DRS is in activation. But as you get to the Spitzkehrer, not enough at this point. It's the hometown hero, Marcel Fassbender, trying to hold off Gleason and trying to hold off Chin.
I think Chin would have used absolutely everything he had in the car. Oh, gee, bouncing it up on 2 wheels, that's not the best way through. Used everything he had in the car, used all of the energy that he'd been harvesting for the last few laps, and used it all to try and close it down. Now that he's caught up to the back, he can use the DRS to maintain the gap, recharge the battery, and then he'll come back at them with maybe 3 to go. So I expect Chin to just sit there, watch this little battle for the next couple of laps, and then come at it hard with maybe 3 to go.
Absolutely, and keep an eye on that race lead battle as well, because you've got Jacob Reed, and he'll be lining it up here as they run through the Einfahrt Parabolica, now through this Parabolica left-hander that continuously goes forward. And now look at the run. Now look at the drive. Here comes Jacob Reed straight to the inside. It's a battle on the brakes as they go through. Do you shut them off? No. Respect given. Oliver Stepanov around the outside, holding on to it, and you wonder whether that was a little bit too nice from Reed, who has to go to the outside again to try and make this pass, but Stepanov covers it at the very difficult to pass Mercedes corner.
What a battle this is. And we thought that Remy Garcia was out of it. He's just watching this, hoping that they continue to fight, and I think they will, because they both want the lead. They both want to be in the lead with 2 to go. I don't know if they want to be the leader on the last lap with how good the DRS and the advantage is down the straight. So this is a really intense battle right now. That other battle that we were talking about, well, that has stayed as it was, as expected. This is where it's at right now.
Absolutely. It is with the leaders. Jacob Reed, who had the race lead coming through that pit stop cycle, undercutting his way in front, only lasted for about 4 corners when Stepanov came out of the pits and he had that chance to attack. Don't expect to move on this lap. Expect Jacob Reed to have poured everything out of the car to try and make that pass, and he just sits behind and says, I can't make a move just yet. I'll have to wait another lap. Remy Garcia under 2 seconds behind now. It's really starting to chase, and the battle on here as here comes Kalen Chin down the inside of Adam Gleason, who effectively gets stood up through the corner like it was a motorbike, and suddenly Kalen Chin finds himself in 5th.
Really good fight going on there. That was a great little pass, and just behind there, Adam Cohen has to let Anthony Cat through, who does the exact same thing. Cat gets on the power a little bit too much. Bit squirrely. They're going to go side by side. This is not where you expect side by side, though, and Anthony Cat has to give up the spot he just gained.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. You can see just how much they're squirreling, especially on the softs there. The rears of Adam Cohen's car are absolutely sliding about on this cold surface as the leaders now have themselves all of 3 laps to figure this out between themselves at this point. Still, Jacob Reed tries to search and tries to find what's needed, but you wonder how well defended is Oliver Stepanov going to be. And this might be a lunge. It's defended on the inside this time. here by Stepanov, who will naturally compromise his own line, but he gets away with it this time.
Very, very good bit of driving there from Stepanov. Kalen Chin, though, straight up the inside of Fassbender and gets it done. Hello?
Yes, he does.
Maybe it's not done. Yes, it is.
It is. Marcel Fassbender can't put the power down on the exit. What a drive this has been from Kalen Chin, who would have hoped that he had the chance to qualify the car properly. And instead, he's had to really find a recovery drive here today. Jacob Reed there in second. Oliver Stepanov. Last time Oliver Stepanov was here, his race ended in the opening lap of the race. He wants to try and take that away from his mind and put a victory in. 0.5 of a second, 2 laps to go.
This is going to be intense, and they've absolutely dropped Remy Garcia. He's decided he's got nothing left to fight with. He's now 3.5 seconds back. This is going to be on between these two and these two alone.
Absolutely. Here is Jacob Reed searching for the chance with the DRS once again. Already covered by Oliver Stepanov all the way to the right-hand side. Reed has to go the long way around. Great positioning here from Oliver Stepanov. And again, he shows his hand out there early, but Jacob Reed, has he saved enough here for the run? He's got to go for it here on the outside to Mercedes, and it doesn't quite pay off. So he leaves another little thing, but again, he's tucked up underneath, and he's got a great chance here as they head to the arena.
This is going to be intense. This is going to be a wild final lap. I don't know which way it's going to go. Remy Garcia probably smartly has dropped off the back of this fight, because if there's the slightest bit of contact a little bit closer, he would be involved in it. Dropping back, he's got a chance to avoid it. White flag flies, last lap of the race. This is going to be intense.
Absolutely. Stepanov slightly quicker on that last lap as they dance around with their 1:12.2s respectively. Still, you feel if that was the gap they had going forward, Stepanov can try and cover it off again. Jacob Reed has thrown legitimately the kitchen sink at Oliver Stepanov so far, and it's not quite been enough. Is it going to be the same this final time up to the Spitzkehrer? Again, it's defended by Stepanov, but this time Jacob Reed can't slow it down quick enough. On the brakes into the hairpin, Stepanov had it covered, and a little bit of a wiggle trying to put the power down to be aggressive might have just put the death knell in the coffin. Here's Adam Gleeson trying to get around the outside of Marcel Fassbender, forces him to go a little bit to the inside, and what a move that is from Gleeson to move into the top 5. Not over yet though. One mistake changes this race as they enter the arena through Mobile 1. The Sachs curve, this so deadly left-hander, has been the end of so many races. No chances there, and now into that Sud curve to end the lap and end the race. Oliver Stepanov, take your hat off. What a defense that was.
What a drive it was too. It was a great battle between those two. Jacob Reed, absolutely fantastic fight from him. Not quite enough in the end, but I tell you what, driver of the day, Kalen Chin, from 22nd on the grid, gets himself into 4th, only 9 seconds behind the lead. That is incredible. What a drive from him, but hats off to Stepanov and Reed for that fight all the way to the finish. That was incredible.
That was a brilliant fight, and one that we absolutely love when it comes to the iRacing Grand Prix series, and it will just continue to be great racing over and over again. Doughy's for a good reason. And let's get ourselves then official classified results then here from this Hockenheimring circuit. And what a result it is for Oliver Stepanov, who wins in 40 minutes and 9 seconds and holds on by 0.4 of a second in the end over Jacob Reed, who threw everything at him today. Remy Garcia will take a very comfortable podium. Top 3, 1, 2, and 3 in qualifying, 1, 2, and 3 in the race. Didn't tell the story, though, today. Kalen Chin, what a drive from him. Last on the grid, finishes off in 4th position, so has every reason to be happy. Adam Gleeson finishing in the top 5, with Marcel Fassbender overtaken on the last lap, struggling late on. Darren Parker finishes 7th, ahead of Ari Korkadilos, who really, I would say, surmounted himself as a name to look out for the future. He had some wild overtakes here today and could have very easily have challenged for the race win overall, but it's 8th for him. Adam Cohen takes a respectable 9th place finish, and up 9 spots today is Stefan Piotrowski. He rounds out the top 10, the second Austrian in the field. Kevin Scheilon finishes off in 11th place ahead of Kohei Yamashita, who will take this as vital reconnaissance for him. He gained 9 spots as well, along with John Pat Kelly gaining a spot today. He finishes in 13th. Stefan Chantal, Nico Veranen, the last finishers then on the leading lap, with Anthony Cat retiring 2 laps from the end, along with Tyler Dzube in his incident there with his shifter, costing him his race. Kent Nielsen out of the race after having to take damage early. And then the 3 on the opening lap, Victor Awad, Jorge Martinez, Nathan Graham, and then out of the race by way of disqualification out there on circuit, Vincenzo Taormina, who found himself with contact with Ari Korkadilos. So, with all of that racing at the track where Jim Clark famously had his last race, or infamously, I should say, we will move to another very, very technical track. It's the Hockenheimring, which is next, Jay, and you see it quite a bit when you have these sorts of tracks back to back, which are very technical, which are very much high downforce. It is going to be a case of how do you just build on the setup to the next week.
I think there'll be some drivers that have probably 3/4 of the way through that race gone, well, I might as well try and start thinking about the next race because they had a real tough one. But if we see half as good a battle for the win next round, it is going to be a must-watch race. I cannot wait to watch it, and I cannot wait to see who wins.
Must watch, must see, must be there. If you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content brought to you by the team here at SimSpeed TV. There is stuff happening all across the weeks going forward, and as well, later on, you've got Scops from probably one of its familiar places of racing. It goes there every year. It goes to most sports, so keep an eye out on that as we go through. But in terms of the team that gets it done, to the iRacing open wheel community who have jumped in and given us the opportunity to broadcast this iRacing Grand Prix series, it's been a pleasure again to see another fantastic week's worth of racing. You then follow up with that, the Virtual Racing School, who have been on the replays for our 2nd straight year here with us at SimSpeed TV. From Jay Kennedy, double duties, camera and commentary, myself, Jake Sperry. What a race we were treated to. Looked like it could have been anybody's day to be in position to go and make something happen. But crucially, Oliver Stepanov knew where to place the car, at what point, at what time. He has just proven that he could be one of the big key challengers for an overall title this season. But when they come back to racing next week, it is going to be the place where Tamas Simon calls his home, the Hockenheimring, and you can't wait to watch it. 1 week from today, we will see you over there.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god! God, what?